music. That is strong and powerful and can imbue all times. With supporting us to keep our hearts open. And so from this place right now of all this beauty and all of us together, we send out love to this world. Does this world not need love right now? Love, compassion. This day around the anti-Semitism, but around the anti-everything. We are one living presence. And to be able to hold that as people forget that truth and act out of fear and pain, which brings hatred to our world. So we hold a higher truth right here, just for now, together, willing to be willing, perhaps, to hold that deeper truth of knowing that God is here now. And we dedicate this day and this time together to each of us being willing or willing to be willing to be that higher truth for our own lives, for each other, for all those people hurting, and for our world. And for this time in this beautiful place and these truth teachings, and for each other. We just breathe some breaths of gratitude, all the support in helping us remember. And so it is. Amen and amen. Interesting to see how the ideas that have come for today and how what's happened. I'm teaching a class down in Gainesville. It's an old book, The Four Agreements. And the first agreement, from which every one of the other three stems from, is to be impeccable with our word. Because our words are creative, are they not? Even if they're justified, our words are creative. And it's said in that first chapter that the greatest sin, mistake, is using that word against ourselves. It takes us out of integrity. And that would apply to taking it against someone else as well. Because we are one. Are we not? That's what we teach. Hard to see sometimes with some of these actions, but the truth of our being, the core of our being, the nugget of our being, we're all born from that energy. That godness, that love. And either we're remembering it in our lives or we're forgetting it. And that presence can be used for either. It gives us whatever our thoughts are. We're the perfect interface between heaven and earth with our thoughts. Basic metaphysical teachings, right? And so I was called this month to sit with. This is so interesting because I couldn't figure out why exactly, except it's wonderful. The Fillmores Invocation. And the Fillmores are Unity's co-founders. And this invocation, my first experience, my first church that I was part of down in Florida, we said this every week. And it's old-timey words, but listen to the truth in them. I am now in the presence of pure being and immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. I acknowledge thy presence and thy power, O blessed Spirit. In thy divine wisdom, now erase my mortal limitations, and from thy pure substance of love, bring into manifestation my world according to thy perfect law. I am now in the presence. When we can stay in the present, we're creating God. And that presence is that radiant field of love, of possibility, of wisdom, of only good, of all possibilities through every experience. Can we hold to that? Let me just find that. There were other words in it that really spoke to me. We are pure wisdom. We're one with that wisdom as we can listen and allow our hearts to stay open and follow these teachings. We are that. We're so powerful. That's why I titled this talk Abracadabra, and that term comes from the Aramaic, the ancient language of Jesus, and it meant I create what I say. And back then they believed that in a strength that I don't think we touch into very often. Abracadabra, we create in our world what we say. Now we know it in small ways. How many of you get parking spaces? I always get a parking space. They'll pull out right in front of me. I believe it. I know it. I have faith that that'll happen. Can I have that same faith in things that seem so much bigger than I think I have any influence with? Can I hold to these truths knowing that I am that influence, I am that wisdom, I can bring that, and when we're together, the power is just multiplied. That's what we're called to be here, I believe, right now. I think our purpose is to bring this love to the world. I think our purpose is to bring this consciousness of possibility through everything. And I keep hearing that there's not going to be any new big way shower that's going to do this. We've had so many big way showers. We're it, you all. I know I've said this before, but we are, and we can't play small. We have to hold this and keep our hearts open. Because if we don't, who know these teachings, who's going to do it? And if we can't hold it in our personal lives, how can we expect countries in our world to do it? So this is not selfish when we practice for things we want in our own life, but how about if the greatest thing we want is peace on earth? And we want peace here in these bodies first. How can I find peace when these things happen? How can I move through this unbearable grief? By feeling it and moving through, holding to the truth. There's no simple way to do it, is there? And those feelings will begin to dissipate after time, but to honor them, they're holy tears. They're holy water. They honor our experience here on this planet that does have pain and suffering in it. But we're called to be the truth tellers, the truth bearers, the consciousness. This living presence, I pictured this week laying down in it, like a field, and breathing into it and allowing it to soak in. Because I speak for myself, I know these things, but do I take enough time in my day and my busy life to really sink in and hold them so that I can embody them in a different way? I thought of the Rumi quote, which you've also probably heard me say because it's my favorite. Beyond the idea of right and wrong, there is a field. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. And when I've thought of that in the past, it's always been with an outer experience that I've had a conflict or something like that's happened here in Pittsburgh, and I took it to another place as well today. In that field, I'll meet my higher self, where I can grow in strength of holding these truths. Because, I don't want to sometimes. And I can resist with the best of them. And does that create what I want in my body of peace? And does it create what I want to see in this world? And I thought of our closing, let there be peace on earth. How do I say it?
Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with you.
Right. What's the prayer? The life of God surrounds me. The love of God unfolds me. What about the life of God, instead of enfolds me, I've been saying it, the love of God unfolds me. Because it brings it from the outer, which is true too, it's everywhere. This living substance is everywhere. But it's us, and it unfolds us as we allow it, as we choose that to happen. And it happens with our thoughts, our feelings, and our words. It unfolds us. And it is like magic. I mean, I remember when I first started working with these truth teachings that our thoughts are creative. I didn't know that. I had no idea. I was an absolute victim of my circumstances out here for a long time. And I can still go into that place because it's very, I have cow paths in my brain of living that. And so it's creating these new pathways, these neural pathways of something different. I can't keep telling that old story. I can't stay in the horror. I have to feel whatever I'm feeling and hold these new truths. And it is magic. Can we believe that with our world situation? Hard to believe, isn't it? If we focus on what's happening out here. And so can I allow myself more space and time to do these spiritual readings that teach me, that remind me of something deeper going on? Of sitting in meditation, of sitting with music, of allowing that music to come through and wash the tears through. That impeccability. When I read that chapter, I thought, and it's because of the world situation, even before what this happened, and I focus on it with what I read and stuff like that, and I worry. and I doubt the direction that we're going. Now, is that being impeccable with my word? Doubt and worry are not faith in this presence. And can I allow these circumstances today to grow me in faith and strength? That's the call. That's how we bring this love to this planet. And gosh, I want to just do it this way. With the beauty and all the smiling faces and the nature and the places where it's so easy. But that's not what we live in this world. And we live in this world. And our call is to bring these truths to our worldly experience. Myrtle said, "Can you allow this to be a new day?" How often do you tell the old stories? Can you allow this to be the new day? This is the day that the Lord has made. Can you allow it to be that place of bringing alive this love, even with that grief? That last piece you played, and Norman, your piece, they were just magnificent of what the depth of what this call is. The scripture from Proverbs is, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so he is." And the contemporary unity version of that is, "Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind." There's the magic. And they can be used for good or for evil. God just gives us what we think. God doesn't judge. This presence doesn't judge. It just brings forth whatever our continuous stream of thoughts are. Not the little casual thoughts that go through. Although I think the longer we're on this path, the more we're called to be very mindful with those thoughts. And I have a funny little picture that you won't be able to see it, but you might come up and look at it after. It's this funny little critter. It's kind of contemporary art. And when I was in Florida, helping family down there, my mindfulness with these thoughts did not go in the right direction. And there were some sad circumstances down there, which grief would have been appropriate and feelings would have been appropriate, but then I didn't allow myself to stay with our truth teachings. It sucked me down into the darkness. And I had quite a long dark night of the soul that I learned from. I learned compassion, but did I need to be in all that darkness? Did that add to anything that I want to see on this planet? No. But this would, and I was speaking in church down there every other Sunday, and I know they could hear it in what I talked about and see my grief, and they just loved. Sometimes the people, you all sitting out here, are loving the ministers into remembering who they are too. We are one. And the picture on it says, "She is willing to accept that she creates her own reality, except for some of the parts where she can't help but wonder, what the hell was she thinking?" So, the word of the day is being mindful with our thinking and our thoughts, and aligning with the truth and the power of who we are. We are powerful beyond measure. So many teachers have taught this. Do we really live that in our lives? Do we know that this power of love is really greater than anything and serves our world? And I'm going to read you a quote that I know you've heard before. In fact, I've probably even brought it here before, but I'll never grow tired of hearing it. And it so speaks to us not playing small in this world. I know you know what I'm going to do, I think. It's Marianne Williamson. And not allowing that fear to take us over, but to hold the truth no matter, and to hold it and be willing to speak it in places that maybe are a little uncomfortable to speak it. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Breathe that in. Your thoughts are powerful beyond measure. Are we adding to the white magic in the world or the black magic with our thoughts? It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. You are the living expression of this creative power that created this entire world. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our fear, our doubt, our judgment, our presence automatically liberates others. And I want to share with you a quick little story of, I don't remember where I read this, but it's a story about a native tribe. And when someone in their tribe forgets who they are, because isn't that what happens when people do these acts? They're living out of their fear, they're living out of their separation, they're living out of, and that brings forth the hate. So when in this tribe, when someone would forget who they were, they would gather in circle, and they would bring this person and put them in the center of the circle, and they would remind him of who he was, who she was. They would be loving in this circle, reminding them that this is the truth. You've just forgotten. This is the truth of who you are. And the personal experience I had of that was when I was at ministerial school. And we were practicing all the craft and all of this. And people wanted them, the teachers, the ministers, to critique us, to tell us how we could be better. They would give us no constructive criticism. They just loved us. They loved us into believing who we were in a deeper way. And so that's what we're asked to bring to this world right now. They've forgotten and they've creating horrific acts because of that. So our call, our prayer work, is to remember that field. First for ourselves, so that we can hold it deeper, and then for all people. So I'm going to play a song to take us into a little more meditation. And Norman, I may ask you to play that song again at the end to close the service, because the song I had doesn't fit the feeling for today. And that is such a wonderful reminder of that music keeps your heart more open, and I think it's true for all of us. And it is that place that on this path, we have to be able to embrace the storms as well as the joys and the beauty. We have to somehow hold, even though we can't see it or feel it, that God is in and through all.